He has been wrong about everything. He is the one who told us we would have 400 to 600 hospitalizations a day. He revised that to 200 to 400 a day. We still haven't reached that in one day. We're barely over 200 for the entire ordeal that you guys have put us through. We now are panicked over 51 total hospitalizations in a county with 8 hospitals. Can you people do math? Can you please do basic math and understand where we are on this? This is not a crisis. You, however, have created one. You, in an effort to try to prevent all death, when we've had 43 deaths, have now ended all relevant life. And you should all be ashamed of yourselves. And this will never be forgotten, ever be forgotten. You will all be held accountable eventually, in this life or the next. You all better hope there is no hell, because when you die, that's where you're going. And guess what? You're not going to be dying of COVID either. Thank you.
Now let's turn to the US, because it's the country, it's the world's biggest economy. It's the preeminent public health country in the world. It's got the world's best epidemiologists. I mean, why is it done so badly?
Well, we believe in freedom, individual freedom. We optimize for individual rights.
What about China, about which there's obviously a lot of debate?
Although in their typical, fairly authoritarian way, they did a very good job of suppressing the virus. There may have been a lot of individual rights that were violated there, but the overall macro effect that they achieved is kind of amazing.
They took their experience and actually prepared, and so they moved a lot faster. So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time. Will get attention this time. Will get attention this time.
And this will never be forgotten, ever be forgotten. You will all be held accountable eventually.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Monday, August 31st, 2:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the last day before crazy September starts. I think that this is going to be the big surge that we're going to see heading into the election, because now the energy is getting ramped up to the point where this is exactly where the New World Order wants us. Here I have a video of just average citizens finally starting to put together this incredible psyop of COVID that has happened to the United States and the rest of the world. But this is a clear attempt by communistic forces, whether they're Chinese communists, whether they're liberal Democrats, or they're Catholics. If you look at the 3 countries that have been hit hardest, they are also the ones that have those 3 powers most influential in creating chaos and havoc and misinformation and panic and fear. And they're also the ones that would profit the most off of the collapse of the United States economy. Now, don't for a second think that, all of a sudden Chris is like, Trump's going to save us. No, this is part of a Rothschild, Rockefeller, Hegelian dialectic that is always looking to create enemies, to create chaos, to come out with pre-designated solutions to their predetermined plans, and they continue to get away with it because we keep turning a blind eye to the power that runs all power, and it's the banking system. The banking system that profited off of creating Hitler, creating Stalin, creating the fascist America, all the world wars, every single social division. They all profit off of this. So there's nobody coming to save us. As much as I would like to warn the Department of Justice the malfeasance and going on here, or whatever, nobody's coming to save us, because they're all bought and paid for. They are all beholden to the most powerful force out there, which is money. The communists care about money, the Catholics care about money, the Republicans care about money. They all care about money and where it comes from and where it goes and who controls it. And that's where we are right now. Right now, the United States, I would hazard to say, is probably one of the most powerful fascist countries that has ever happened. We are clearly not what the United States was founded upon, of individual liberty, honest money, personal rights, division of church and state. None of those principles still exist anymore. The Constitution's been redacted as too dangerous for the average American to even comprehend, much less learn in school. But what we are doing is being placed in this Hegelian dialectic where we're, again, ramping up the violence. They want a civil war. They want the Trump supporters to go kill the BLM supporters, Antifa versus, the Proud Boy, whatever it is. If somebody is promoting violence or division amongst us, they're part of the problem. Unless they all realize that we're all suffering from money, we're all suffering from this idea that our brother is different from ours, or that we have the right to enforce our will upon others, that's part of the problem. Collectivism loves any form of collectivism. They don't care what brand it is. They all profit off of it because at the end of the day, there's a very cunning few at the top that know the whole game that's going on, and a lot of idiots that don't realize what they're enabling through their thoughts, their actions, their careers, their votes, their views, their investments, and their attention. Ultimately, everything comes down to you. You are going to suffer from the collapse of this debt and death paradigm. It is a mathematical inevitability. They're trying to see who gets to win. The failing forward. Is the communists going to come forward and say, "Oh, American fascism and their debt expansion and all the wars that they did, they're clearly the bad guys, and we, the communists, the power of the people, they're the ones that are going to save us." No, enough of this Hegelian dialectic. I don't want a Tesla robotic Amazon techno future robot any more than I want Chinese communists, or some new, crusade or anything. No more war, no more division. Let's all just call out the people that created this mess. Can you imagine if we had truth and said, "Oh my God, look at the money, follow the money, where does this go? Who profits off of this? Why do we enable this to go on? The drug trafficking, the wars, the child sex abuse, the pedophilia, all this stuff." Nobody comes out. So until there's truth out there, don't expect justice. And until there's justice, expect more chaos and war. There's no other way out. You cannot fight against this. You can only withdraw your energy. And if enough people, especially in key positions, walk away from this, they no longer exist. They cannot function without us. They cannot function without our votes, our views, our fear, our panic, all this other stuff. And all it takes is common sense, logic, to see through this and not play a part of it. And I know it's very difficult because it's all encompassing. I wish it was just a political problem, and if we just got enough people learning about proper role of government and all this other, but it's not that. It's literally every single aspect of our life is controlled into getting us to be disempowered, to feel weak, to feel insecure, and ultimately give over whatever little power we have, whether it's the form of our taxes, our votes, our views, our careers, or anything, over to some cunning collectivist that says, "Hey, if you just follow me, we can take you to the promised land." Not realizing that every single other person's following some other cult towards some nirvana somewhere, whether it's your 401k retirement on a beach, for TIA, CREF, or if it's, retirement, whatever it is. It's all going to be exposed as a complete lie, a global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi lie that everybody bought into, thinking that they could screw over their neighbor and somehow make it out at the end. Everybody's going to lose. Everybody. Everybody who's beholden to this system, everybody who's empowered the system, it's all going to fail. So when I started envisioning what was coming, I did the coin series last year called USSA 2020, talking about the socialism uprising is coming. It's up to the United States to recognize where it's coming from. It's certainly not coming from the Constitution. It's not coming from a sense of American fair play or ingenuity or anything like that. It's dictatorial totalitarianism, fear of the unknown. The truth of the matter is COVID-19, if you strip out all the ancillary other medical problems, and there's an estimated 2.6 other medical attributions to every COVID death that they've said, that there was other factors that were involved in it. If you strip out all the other factors and just get down to straight COVID deaths, it's not 170,000 people. It's 9,000. And just like this video showed out, the panic, the fear, the shutting down of the economy, that's what they wanted. The communists wanted to shut down the heartbeat of our entire country. And it's hurt who the most? The local people, the small business owners, the small towns, not the big Bezos corporations, not the Elon Musk Teslas, not Apple, not Google, not Facebook, not part of them. They're always protected. But the average American that's now going to suffer, be disempowered when the reality hits, that's what they want. They want one world government, a crypto mark of the beast to tax, track, and trap all of humanity under the bankster rule. And they don't care if it's a fascist bankster rule, a communist bankster rule, a Catholic bankster rule. It doesn't matter. They just want you obeying their money. And I saw all this very clearly. I've seen through all of their magic, and I found their weak link, folks, the Achilles heel of all the inequity. I had a guy say, hey, Chris, I get how silver could bring justice to this financial Ponzi scheme and all this other stuff, but what do we do about, this rise of the wussification of men, this feminization of American, I would not even say the American culture. The banksters, through their wars, have killed the strongest and bravest men that have ever walked this earth in false wars. I could have been one of them. In fact, the reason why I'm so out there about it is because after 9/11, I too was willing to follow along with their satanic plan of creating wars for nothing. Oil. Saddam wanted to get off the dollar standard to get onto gold or euro or anything else. They created a false flag to take him out. Saddam had nothing to do with 9/11. Even if you believe the narrative, it doesn't matter. Same thing goes with COVID. This is their first chance since COVID to have a global psyop. And you got the World Economic Forum talking about the Great Reset. Yeah, great for them, because they're going to greatly do it back to the gold standard, which nobody has except for the banksters, so I thoroughly reject all gold standard. Gold is a useless, gaudy Goldman metal that's only used by the most criminal of all countries out there and banksters. They own all the gold, so a gold reset is throwing us right back into the fire. Crypto, from the very beginning, 2011, when I first started being recruited by it, and I saw the CIA and NSA had their tailhooks all over it, and understanding that Aaron Russo, in his last speech to one of the Rockefellers, said that the Rockefellers exactly what they want, what Bill Gates is carrying out. Bill Gates is a Rockefeller agent, and yet somehow he's this epidemiologist who's the forefront of this massive psyop. He wants all of our money on a chip. So guess what, folks? You think it's tough getting information out now? Wait until there is no way to even live without their money. That's why you need to stack silver, to be a rock inside this digital illusion of wealth, which they're trying to get us to do. I see this all as a desperation. I see that they are losing on every front, and all of humanity is going to wake up to what has plagued us throughout all time in history. The bankster, the conscious, occult, dark manipulators that would seek to create destruction in the name of good. There is no good that can come from destruction. All of life is based off of love and creation. We are all one, whether you know it or not. If somebody else out there suffers at the expense of somebody else, it's wrong. It's morally, imperatively wrong. And we're living off of a Ponzi system that is continually, systemically robbing from all of us. There's no other way out, folks. No lie gets to the other side means that once the financial ramifications of a global systemic collapse happens and there's nowhere else to run and they cannot buy off any more sappy souls who think that they're working for Goldman Sachs and somehow doing God's work, or CIA analysts that go in there thinking that they're part of this patriotic thing to save us from international communist forces, you're part of the problem. Everybody's a part of the problem. Because we deal in dialectics. And until you can step back into your mind and go use logic and go, really? What am I truly enabling? Is it debt and death at the end of the day? Is it deception? Am I hiding the truth? Or am I part of the truth? Kind of clear-cut things that you would think would be imperative for most individuals to go about their day. Am I doing good in the world? Or am I doing evil? I had to walk away from my family's business on an intellectual thing. We were selling cars for debt. I got wrapped up into the whole idea that I was enabling it, and I walked away from it. It wasn't made easy, but I had to walk away from money. Money has zero ownership over me. Zero. I would give it all away again. Because that's not why we're here, folks. You cannot take it with you. But what you can do is speak truth at all times. And let the chips fall where they may. And I tell you, you'll be surprised. The more you speak truth, the sounder you sleep at night. The more you find yourself surrounded by other people who speak truth. The less toxic people you have in your life that cause chaos. You see what goes on the global level with 9/11 and the 2008 financial crisis and COVID. Those are just exoteric, large-scale humanitarian chaos that's created by a very few toxic people. Well, that's a macrocosm of the microcosm that happens in our lives. What is the toxic relationship and bosses and investments and Ponzi schemes that you enable? All the little ones add up to these big ones. That's why they keep getting away with it. So as soon as people recognize, oh, I am the source of all of their power and they're absolutely worthless without us, there's nothing to get excited about anymore. You start taking care of your world, and bit by bit, their pieces start falling apart. The more people that can bring sanity to this world, and I would think having physical silver in a global economic crisis would probably bring the most amount of sanity, especially Silvershield silver, because it's always been about truth. You'll have the place to create something better on the other side. I don't know what your vision is. I would hope it would be a complete antithesis of a hierarchical, collectivist system of Ponzi schemes, that we can have an abundant, beautiful earth. All the same scheme and ingenuity and technological innovation to create the debt and death paradigm, we can create an abundant paradigm to heal all the worlds, educate, clothe, feed everybody. We have more than enough in this world. Can you imagine if we didn't have all these debts and deaths and deceptions and these psychomaniac billionaires that keep hoarding more and more money, more resources of our energy? What could we do with it? Folks, it can turn around just like this. By the end of the year, if there was a global conscious awakening, and it might happen with or without you, I'm telling you, the COMEX LBMA silver manipulation going back 147 years is the largest financial crime that has ever been committed against humanity. When that blows up, you will see a permanent revaluation of all physical silver as the king of all metals. Gold will be worthless relative to silver. All the major companies, everybody's going to be clamoring for it because it's the most vital of all metals. And regardless whatever future we're going to get, silver is going to be the most important element, even more so than oil. We're in the post-oil age. They know it. Their oil complex is falling apart. The demand destruction from this alone proves it. The debt destruction, the demographic destruction, the ending of the masculine and the feminine. I think so many of the problems that we have right now is that we've feminized our men. We've allowed this nanny state to have us in fear of everything. It's going to take a strong few men to recognize that this system needs to go and that they need to be a part of what comes next. I would say anybody who's profited off of this debt and death paradigm should have zero say in what happens afterwards. I would say that anybody who enabled the debt and death paradigm and didn't speak truth to when the financial collapse happens should have zero say. And those that did not see this coming should have zero say on how it forms afterwards. World Economic Forum, Bank of International Settlements, Federal Reserve, fuck all of you guys. You are the source of all the evil out there. All sides of the war get funded by the same banksters. Money, one eye, I see you. And now the rest of the world's going to see you. And there's no stopping that. The rest of the world is going to continue to wake up to your debt and death and duplicity. And now they have a way out. Only two things are going to matter at your end of days. There's the spiritual aspect of your world and the material aspect of the world. The spiritualists have been deprived of the material wealth, so the good, holy people that keep the sacred and profane, these two worlds separate, have been disabled and disempowered by the very wealthy to have an antagonism towards money. They do that because they know that that's the power of the material world. So silver is the cure for that, the cure for all these material masters of the universe who continue to spread debt and death and buy up all the souls that they can. Because they own the electricity, the currency of this material world, and it's all going to come to an end. So anybody owning physical silver will have the ability of creating whatever the next age is. And I think it's going to be the conscious silver age of humanity, where we wake up and go, oh, we no longer need fractional reserve banking, usury, fiat money, that we don't need debt and death and deception. That we can have honest money and honest people and honest skills and do good things in this world. And not destroy this planet and every single soul along the way. The other power is spiritual power. And that is found in truth. If you are harming somebody, whether your actions, conscious or unconscious, if you're harming somebody, you are doing evil by its very nature. So when you walk in truth and realize that we're all one, right? Even the most evil satanic bastard, they are my brother. They are your brother. We don't have to enable them. We don't have to approve of them. We can certainly call justice to them. But they're one of our brothers. Thoroughly misguided, psychopathic, damaged people. But we're all one and the same at the end of the day. And all these people need to be brought to justice. But so long as the good people live in fear of them, nothing will happen. This will all continue on. And I don't think we get another shot at this. I think once they establish a totalitarian, technocratic state with AI, quantum computing, there's no shot for any of us. And I don't care how high up you are on the Facebook board or Bank of International Settlements, you are not part of the game. You're playing a game you don't see. The darkest forces are in ones that you'll never hear of. Those are the ones that twist the arms at the top. And I know this. And they know it. And slowly the best people are walking away from this game. Slowly the best and brightest are starting to think like me. And they're left with the worst and weakest thinking like them. This is an old game that's been played out before. The old world order was the religious order, fear of God, this thing, and the church was the only way out, and they could condemn your soul here and on earth. That's a powerful way of controlling humanity. The Romans did it the best. The New World Order, well, that replaces your church with government. And government literally means mind, to control the mind. Religion means to bind the mind. And what they want is a one world order. One world order where there'll be one religion, one monetary system, and nobody stands against that. I'm about a no world order. A no lie gets to the other side world order, where humanity starts waking up and starts disempowering the evil guys that get away with this. Call them war criminals. Make sure that their stocks are not the cool thing anymore. Don't work inside of this. It's over anyways. Whatever retirement system, it's all over. As soon as this next crash happens, as soon as the election's over, it's all done. They'll finally show us how much damage has been done since March. Since this communist, Catholic, Democrat, COVID, whoever's behind it, once that gets exposed as a complete fraud, and the damage that it's done to all the major metropolitan areas, the businesses that were collapsed, the untenable debt, the whole industries that have been destroyed, sporting, leisure, hotels, commercial real estate, the Bakken oil field. I don't know. What industry is not going to be permanently disabled from this? Because we've reached peak insanity, peak materialism. And now they're trying to throw us over the edge into a one-world totalitarian state. So they can keep us in the zombified condition. Or you can walk away. Regardless what happens, I don't care how bad that gets. If you can walk away and establish yourself somewhere where they're not near these major cities, that you don't rely upon their big corporations for your food, for your power, for your water, that would be the place to be. Oh, and then if you could have silver backing your local economy, creating food, shelter, power, water locally, that's something powerful. Small town Americana. An Americana renaissance. We can show the rest of the world how freedom really is. But we cannot do that with all this stuff that's going on right now. We need to break free, and it needs to happen soon. So if you see the world the way that I do, keep stacking the silver, because at some point somebody's going to pull one more ounce out that they don't got, and then all their Ponzi scheme ends. They cannot continue this. In fact, the amount of debt that they're creating shows just how untenable their position is. They need trillions of dollars just to hold what they got in order. Just to buy off more and more people. To make it more expensive to do the abhorrent thing of doing wrong. And eventually that money will be worthless. Nothing. And so too does all the assets that went along with it that were built up off of it, all the power that was built up off of it. All of a sudden, all those gurus who looked like they were so smart will be shown like they didn't see this coming, and you made $200 billion ahead of that? Who would listen to them? There is so much pain out there right now. And I think once people start recognizing where it comes from and how we're a part of it and how we can end it, this can happen very quickly, folks. We can snap out of this. We can snap out of this. No more collectivism. No more good guy. No more Hegelian dialectic. We can snap out of this. Speak truth, stack silver. It's the spiritual and material energy of putting good into this world. The silver bankrupts exposes the largest criminal financial manipulation ever conceived, robbing humanity of their money. That was our money. We controlled that. They demonetized it in the crime of 1873, raped India of $45 trillion, and destabilized dynastic China. The communist Chinese they don't represent all the Chinese. They're just the thugs that Western bankers have enabled. Both in the rise of Mao and the industrialization. We created them. And now they'll have us sacrifice them. They don't care who wins. They don't care if hundreds of millions of Chinese die or the United States gets taken over. They don't care, because guess what, folks? They own the money on both sides. Wake up. Take action. Spread the word. Thank you.
How do you plan to support your new wife on fine arts?
It's a good question. Well, I'm sorry, I just get embarrassed to say it, sir, but I'm a major stockholder in the family corporation.
You shouldn't be embarrassed by your wealth. This contempt for money is just another trick of the rich to keep the poor without it. Well, what can I say after that? Of course, you have my blessing.
Thank you.
Well, I suppose the one time when a single mother might want to own gold compared to anything else is if she faced conditions like a Jew in Vienna in 1939, there are conditions you can imagine where some form of transportable wealth would be useful compared to anything else. But absent those extreme conditions, I think it's for the birds. Now, silver.
It's hard to think of anything other than fleeing the country.
Right.
Where do you put your money? What's the number one conviction trade right now for you, 2020?
Silver.
Silver?
Silver? No. Why not gold? Because when you look at the relative values of silver and gold, silver today is about, let's say, 65% below its prior peak. Gold is getting very close to its prior peak.
Can it go exponential like we're seeing in some of the non-precious metals?
I think there's a high probability of that. I would call monetary policy a policy of bubble to bubble. For instance, to save the economy after the stock market crash, right? The Fed cut rates and overinflated commercial real estate, and then we had to bail out the banks with the Resolution Trust Corporation. So then once things calmed down again, investors no longer thought that commercial real estate was safe, and they inflated the internet bubble to the wealth effect to keep the economy going. And then, of course, it went bust, and so then people didn't feel safe in stocks, so they started buying homes. And we played that out, and it bust. And so my attitude is when you look at the amount of leverage in corporate America and where we are today, you definitely are inflating a bubble here in credit.
Is the elasticity or malleability of the system there so we can respond and react when we get that? Or is it a jump condition where it's going to be ugly?
Well, you know, one of my colleagues at Guggenheim likes to say that asset prices go up on an escalator and they come down.
Well, normal.
And
Absolutely.
They come down in an elevator,
yeah.
right? So the problem is, since nobody I know is smart enough to figure out when the music stops, you know, I think that's a really difficult thing for people to try to time.